Good looks, a 90Hz screen and a stock Android 12 at a sub 10,000 rupees price point. Well guys, that's the Motorola E32s for you in a nutshell. So I'm sure all of this sounds very enticing considering we are talking about an entry-level smartphone, a budget smartphone in 2022. But specifications and features aside, does the Motorola E32s deliver? Let's find out. Hello everyone, Aman here from Mr. Phone, and in this video let's take a look at the good and bad about the Motorola E32s and whether you should get one or not. But before we get rolling, consider hitting that red subscribe button for detailed tech reviews and also turn on the bell so that you don't miss any of our latest updates. Now let's get started. Starting off with the design and build, and guys, this phone does not look like a sub 10,000 rupees smartphone. In fact, Motorola has done a brilliant job with the build quality of the E32s, and despite the budget price tag, there are no loose corners. Motorola calls the rear panel material PMMA, which is a plastic polymer basically, and what you see here is this imitation glass finish along with a matte satin texture which feels premium and smooth to the touch, although it does pick up smudges easily, so keeping a cleaning cloth handy is recommended. Color options include slate grey, the one I received for the review, and the gorgeous looking misty silver. Now, complementing this shimmery back panel is the raised triple rear camera deco, which features the lenses in the form of a teardrop. The iconic Batwing logo is at the dead center along with the Motorola branding right below. Onto the frame, and this one as well, despite being made out of plastic, comes with this matte coating that gives it a texture, and yes, it feels every bit solid and sturdy in the hand as you hold the phone. The volume rockers and power buttons are on the right and offer good tactile feedback. The power button in fact doubles up as a capacitive fingerprint reader, which is very accurate in operation. Along the bottom there's a microphone, a Type-C port, and the phone's single speaker, which is right at the ideal location. Onto the left are the triple slots, that is dual nano SIM slots and a dedicated microSD card slot for storage expansion up to 1 terabyte. Finally, at the top is where you get the 3.5mm headphone jack. So wrapping up the design section, well, the Motorola E32s is definitely a looker. I mean, the company has done a very good job in the design and build department. And in fact, for a phone that is a budget phone, you're also getting IP52 dust and water resistance here. So I don't know what else could you ask for in a budget smartphone. Motorola has done a very fabulous job. On the front, the Motorola E32s features a 6.5 inches HD Plus LCD display, which is on par with other phones in this price bracket, but the cherry on the cake here has to be the 90Hz refresh rate. Along with this, the brightness peaks at 500 nits, which is plenty usable indoors and even gets the job done outdoors. I mean, it is not the brightest outdoors, but as I said, it gets the job done. Otherwise, in terms of quality, it's a decent panel for its price. It's protected by Panda glass. The colors look good. I also did not spot any sort of screen bleeding around the edges, which is great. Then you also get Widevine L1 certification, which means the Motorola E32s can play back HD videos on YouTube and other OTT platforms. And speaking of which, if you're using this phone for content consumption, it does a fairly decent job. As I said, it's a good panel. The bottom firing speaker also complements well and gets reasonably loud, but there's also the headphone jack, so good that Motorola has provided options here. Talking about the performance and other features, the Motorola E32s is powered by the MediaTek Helio G37 SoC. Variants include a 3GB RAM plus 32GB storage and 4GB RAM plus 64GB storage, priced at 8,999 rupees and 9,999 rupees respectively. Software experience is taken care by stock Android 12. Yes, you heard that right. It's not Android 11, it is Android 12, and this is a solid addition in this price point. For the kind of hardware and specs, I think Motorola has nailed it here, and by no means this is a smartphone that can handle high performance games, but if you're looking for a sub 10,000 rupees phone for casual usage like browsing the web, checking social media, doing video calls, or even playing casual games like Subway Surfers or Alto's Adventures. These work perfectly fine on the smartphone, and partly responsible for the good performance on this phone is the stock pixel-less UI that is clean and minimal. Now of course, sometimes you do get minor stutters and lags here and there, which is okay honestly considering this is an entry-level device, but for the most part I think stock Android 12 at this price is a win-win for the consumer. And generally so, the software experience or even the overall performance on the Motorola E32s has been pretty good. No major complaints here. In terms of endurance, there's a 5000 mAh battery under the hood that supports up to 15 watt charging, but you only get a 10 watt charger in the box. And honestly, while the charging times are not the fastest, the battery life is mighty impressive. I mean, with moderate usage involving watching videos, checking social, doing calls and stuff, I've been getting a solid 2 days of battery life consistently with the smartphone, sometimes even 2.5 days, so pretty impressive stuff here. Other connectivity features include Bluetooth 5, dual band Wi-Fi and 4G VoLTE. Call quality was good, earpieces output is loud and clear, connectivity was solid on the Jio 4G network, and I also did not face any issues regarding network speeds or call drops. Now moving on, in terms of optics, you get a 16 megapixel triple rear camera setup. At the front, there's an 8 megapixel snapper situated in a center aligned hole punch. So performance wise, the 16 megapixel camera does a good job of capturing photos given there's good light. HDR performance is great, you get wide dynamic range in images, and even upon zooming in, I noticed that details are preserved well. Otherwise, I also liked how the phone deals with human skin tones for the most part, especially portrait mode photos. In fact, I found my skin tone to look slightly more natural in portrait photos, but even in terms of edge detection or in terms of background blur, I say top-notch stuff. Now close-up photos are also captured with plenty of detail. In fact, even in half decent artificial light around, the Motorola E32s was able to capture bright images indoors. Apart from this, I was also surprised by the 2 megapixels macro camera performance. I mean, I keep bringing the price in between again and again, but genuinely for less than 10,000 rupees, there's nothing much to complain here. Selfies are also captured well, although HDR performance in portrait selfies can be a hit and miss, so I suggest using tap to focus before clicking your image. Now in terms of video recording, you can shoot up to 1080p 30fps videos from both the front and rear camera, and honestly, while there's no stabilization as evident in the videos, if you're going to record footage with minimal movement, I think you should be just fine, because as far as the color reproduction goes or even the details and exposure, in my opinion, the Motorola E32s does a fairly decent job. Long story short, the Motorola E32s is a solid, well-rounded package for anyone looking to buy a phone in a tight budget of under 10,000 rupees. And yes, it does face stiff competition from the likes of the Redmi 10A and the Realme C31, but the fact of the matter is, in comparison to both the phones I just mentioned, the Motorola E32s is clearly leaps and bounds ahead in terms of design, build, looks, camera, endurance, and most importantly, the stock Android 12 edition. I think if you prefer a clean software experience and at the moment the latest one, that is Android 12, I would say look no further than the Motorola E32s. And that was my review of the Motorola E32s budget smartphone. So guys, let me know your thoughts about this smartphone in the comments below. And as always, for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you for watching.